Okay. Looks like we are live. Yes, we are.
Okay. 1 second then. Post. And post. Go on. Paste. Post. There we go. All right. Okay. All right. Let's do this. Welcome to Heresy and Hearsay, a podcast to reclaim faith through the context of political discussion. I'm Reverend Barney, and you can follow me on Twitter at SethRothII. You can also follow the show on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and any podcast catcher. Just looks for Heresy and Hearsay. Please like, share, subscribe, and follow us. Also, give us a review. That helps us and helps others find us. Today, as always, to help me with this podcast is Ember.
Hi there. I'm September, and you can follow me on Twitch and Twitter at 9 of 12. That's NINEOF12. And hear me on the Geek Grills podcast. Heresy and Hearsay has a Patreon site, and you can find it at patreon.com/heresy and hearsay. And you can help visit there. Well, you can visit there to help support us. $2 a month goes a long way to help us make this show. You can also contribute with bits in Twitch or subscribe for free if you have Amazon Prime.
So tonight, in about an hour, the candidates will be taking the stage in South Carolina, just a few miles from us. Where they going to be in Columbia? Is it or Charleston?
I don't know.
I think it's one. It's someplace. But they're just they're just a few hours away from us, one way or the other, and they're going to be right ahead of the South Carolina primary as well as the Super Tuesday primary. Both of those will be happening in the next few days. The South Carolina primary is this weekend, and then Super Tuesday, of course, is next Tuesday. So what we thought we would do is we would come back in glorious fashion right before and kind of give you a primer of what to expect or what we think to expect as far as what will happen tonight at the debates, as well as what our thoughts are on the individual candidates that are still up there, and give you our thoughts and our opinions on the candidates we really like, and kind of give you some hope. I guess that's pretty much what we're going for here, right?
Sure.
You're sounding about as thrilled about this. You're already tired of the election process, and it's still only February, aren't you?
Yeah, I am. I even though I quit politics mostly a few years ago, I am still just on everyone's radar. So, like, I go downtown, I'm trying to have a good time, and every 5 steps, somebody's asking me something about the election, or somebody's talking about the ballot and local stuff, and they're like, well, ask her, she knows. And it's just, I just am
Uh,
still
and
just everyone's expert, and I'm like, oh my god, Google it. All
I
right.
have a beer in my hand and a taco in the other. Why can't I enjoy these two objects without being? You feel like a bit of a celebrity when it comes to politics. Is that what?
Yeah, yeah, and it can be, it can be good, it can be bad. I like clarifying some stuff. We have a local person running for judge, for instance, who a lot of Democrats support him, but he's a Republican.
Right,
And now that they made it in North Carolina so that judicial candidates are party affiliated on the ballot,
right.
that pisses me off. That's wrong. That's messed up. I almost want to jump back into politics to try and get that fixed because that's fucked up. It's a nonpartisan seat. And I thought, and I was wrong, and I answered somebody wrong, and I had to correct, and I did correct them, the information before they got their ballot and stuff. But you can't even vote. Like, there's not a single Democrat running in a judicial ticket here in Iredell County. And so, like, the Democrats just don't have any say in picking any of the judges.
that's and
And people are switching to unaffiliated so they can get the Republican ballot just to do that, but then they can't vote for their Democratic contender in in the Senate races and the presidential races and stuff that we have going on.
right, because as far as the primaries are concerned, ours is a closed primary. So on the yeah, because I remember I was unaffiliated for one presidential election, and I couldn't vote for the Republicans. Let me vote, but the Democrats wouldn't let me vote. And I was like, okay, all right, so I'm gonna have to bite the bullet. And I'm pretty sure if I look on my ballot, it's probably the same thing here in my county, in Gaston County, that I probably don't have any any um, judges that I would be able to vote for. Which, yeah, I think that that's absolutely ridiculous. As far as affiliations and judges, um, the
Yeah, I
process.
mean, they're supposed to put that aside. Like, I don't know how
Well,
this is constitutionally okay.
it's not supposed to be, but as you can see with the Supreme Court in the last couple of the last several appointments, um, as far as especially on the GOP side, that's not the case, and that's why these elections are important. You know, I'm not drudging up any past traumas at this point, but there, Roberts surprisingly has been more centrist as he's gotten older than as the years have gone on than I initially thought he would be,
Hmm.
especially when it came to the Affordable Care Act and gay marriage.
Hmm.
There's a lot of things, especially when it comes to businesses and stuff like that. He does fall on the conservative side, but I was very shocked to see about those two, that he fell on that side of the equation. So, you
And
know,
on the weird prop side of being people's expert, there's a funny. I get to vote more than once. Like, I went and voted, and then I have friends texting me like from the voting booth, like, "Oh crap, I didn't do enough research. Who do I pick for this? Who do I pick for this?" I'm like literally just telling people to vote for, and they trust me because I know things, and they, they're doing it. So I mean, that feels kind of good. A little maybe cheating, but whatever. I did that with my son today. I took my son to vote for his first time, and I mean, he knew who he wanted to vote for in the presidential primary, but he was about to go in, and he's like, I don't know what the hell else is on the ballot. I'm like, oh man, I should have printed him a sample ballot ahead of time so he could look it up, but instead I just gave him a bunch of names of people that I know that are running that, you know.
well, but here's the thing, that is why I think there should every I don't want to say here's one of the things that I think is a byproduct of a loss of printed media, especially printed newspapers. For those who aren't in North Carolina and several other places, McClatchy um, is basically going to be closing down a lot of its print media. It just filed for bankruptcy, so people with like the Charlotte Observer and the Raleigh version, which is I think News and Observer and stuff like that, they're going to be losing reporters. And it's the local beats where you can follow the local politics that is extremely important. And we've gotten, as far as 24-hour news and everything is concerned, we've gotten to this point of it's all national. And there's a statement that someone made that politics is always local, but it's not, because they don't cover local politics. I mean, the closest you get is if you have like cable news. You can watch the cable news thing, and they'll have like local representatives and state representatives talk, do debates with each other, and that's somewhat helpful. But we've gotten to the point where we've lost that local beat, the local mayor or whatever of the small towns and stuff. We've lost a lot of that, so we become less educated with so much information out there, we've become so much less educated because we're not willing to look for it because it's not in one central location. We have to dig for it.
Well, it's funny for the Senate race. Vic came out and he said, "Yeah, I voted for Cal Cunningham because he's the only one his online ads have popped up when I'm gaming. Like, he's the only one I'd heard of."
I think there's a Diane. I think maybe right. I haven't done my education, but then again, I don't go. I am one of those weirdos. I'm lucky in some respects. I'm always off on a Tuesday. It seems that with the jobs that I always have, I'm always off on a Tuesday, and there is just something for me. I prefer to vote on election day. It just there's this visceral. I want to vote on that day. I have done early election, early voting. I've only missed one primary, um, and no elections that I am eligible to vote for. But um, I I prefer to vote on that. So this weekend I'll be
Not me.
looking up that. Yeah, no, and not everybody. I'm just one
I
of those
know a lot
people.
of people like that. They're just, election day is a thing. But ever since we got early voting, I like to encourage the practice. I don't want to lose it. That's something Republicans keep trying to eliminate, and it's an accessibility issue for a lot of people that do work.
Hmm.
Um, Even though legally, in case y'all out there didn't know, it is federal law, and your job has to allow you a reasonable amount of time to go vote on election day, even if you're scheduled working. They
Yes,
have to
I
give you a
think
break to go do it. But,
I,
you know,
I think it's 2 to 4 hours. I think on that, but yes,
but
it is.
that's,
It's
it's not like that ever gets followed through with. I mean, they'll
no,
just find
no,
a reason to fire you. Um, but I like to encourage it. And, like, what if I get sick? And I
no.
don't want to miss
I
my chance.
No, pardon me. I understand that and I get that, and I think early voting is extremely important. And it's just, it's one of those for me. It's a visceral thing. I want to be there in the mobs. I want to get bothered by people, and it makes me
Oh, there
feel
was
a
like
little bit.
20 of them at our early vote study.
It makes me feel a little bit like I'm going through the airport in the movie Airplane. It makes me feel, and I'm Robert Stack. It makes me feel a little bit like that, and I like that feeling
I
sometimes,
wore my Good Witch sweatshirt when I went to vote, and surprisingly got a compliment on it. And somebody was like, "So you're a Good Witch today?" I said, "Yeah, I'm voting Democrat."
So yeah, I I don't wear any. Here's the thing. I'm 6'5", 6'4.5", 6'5". I have long hair. I've got a goatee. I look. I can look one of two ways. Typically, I typically wear my college baseball cap because it fits really well and is really nice. I don't wear anything outlandish as far as my shirts or anything, because especially in November, because you never know. It's normally probably raining, as it's been raining constantly here in the state of North Carolina. There's been nothing but rain in this state. So, but so if you get a chance this weekend and you want to go vote early. If you want to wait and you can vote on Tuesday, but definitely, no matter what, vote in your primary, make your voice heard, especially North Carolina. I remember, I think it was 2008. We were like in May at that time. We weren't even part of Super Tuesday. We were in May, and this was when Obama and Clinton was just going back and forth, head to head, and we um, we ended up still mattering, and that was a rarity for North Carolina. So this is like, I think, the first time North Carolina has been in Super Tuesday. So this will be kind of important. We'll have our voices mean something, because typically after Super Tuesday, you either get a true front runner or at least two people out there that you go, oh, okay, we've got these two people. So speaking of that, seeing we're here, let's talk about some of the candidates. Why don't we?
Sure.
who would you like to talk about first? Should we talk about the ones that are in the lead, or should we talk about the ones that are just kind of there right now? I know who I want to talk about first, but let's do this. Let's talk about Mayor Pete Buttigieg,
Okay.
because that's the one person before before a certain other individual has spent millions of his own money to try to buy his way into the election, um, was the thorn in my side, because I there's been there was a lot of coalition, especially when Biden was not doing well, especially in the debates, but just in generally, he seemed to have been slipping in the polls, and he seemed to have been having some issues speaking.
Yeah. I was really I was with Biden to start with, and then I have
He's
concerns about his mental
that
health right now. Frankly,
I,
I don't know what happened to Uncle
I,
Joe. I don't
I,
know what happened.
he doesn't have that sharp wit that he did.
Yeah,
There's it's very it's went from a sharp wit to it's went from a razor edge, you can't get anything past him kind of thing, to like there was a moment in last debate where Michael Bloomberg said, let me let me finish, and the old Joe would have said, "Sure, I'll let you finish. It's not going to change that you're wrong." But he just, never happened. These words never came out of his mouth, and it just, I think the edge is gone. I think he's older. He's what,
well, didn't they give
70s?
him a lot of shit in the early debates for interrupting people? He was getting a
Who,
lot of
who
bad feedback about that.
maybe, but it, it-
I'm
there's a
just like,
different.
what? Who? Of course he's going to do that, and it's not like no one else does that. But I mean, I'm gonna let you finish, but
Yeah, but you're wrong. The other thing is, it seems like every word. Okay, so we're talking about Joe Biden instead. So
yeah.
that's
Well, I mean, what do we got to say about Pete? I don't.
he. Other than he's problematic in so many ways,
Yeah, he's one of those. He sounds really good, and then you look deeper. Like
yeah. Well,
he reminds me of Perot that way.
yeah. And then you look at his back. Not only that whole thing with his with what happened with his cops while he was mayor and everything, and how that didn't shake out very well. And then you look at his work with private with the private sector, and how that looked really shady and stuff like that. I don't. It's like almost as bad as Mitt Romney's and his capitalist companies that he worked with and stuff like that. So it's like, yeah, there's Pete is not someone I would want to have as my.
Although his policy positions, I mean, I generally agree with. I mean, he wants to do away with private prisons, um, eliminate mandatory minimum sentences, stuff like that.
And I agree with that, but I'm fairly certain the other candidates that were probably more warm to probably also have similar feelings about those situations.
Yeah.
So, you know, so Biden is an interesting thing because he's a moderate. He's a Democrat. He's a moderate for the Democrats. A lot of people felt that he would be the contender against either Biden or Warren, whoever came out on top as far as the left's choice, as far as that's concerned. Um, but he's not doing well polling wise. He came in second in Nevada, but
See,
he's not.
that's, yeah, he can't win. And
Yeah,
honestly, I'm looking at this election in a very pragmatic way. Um, I don't know if I want to say who I voted for because I since learned some stuff about him. It makes me very unhappy. I consider going to work for him because he actually pays people well, which nobody does in campaigning, which is wrong. Um, but who can win?
If you want, honestly, there's a couple on this list. There's three that I could pick of. Okay, and one of them is my heart's choice, and I'm gonna say who I'm gonna vote for on Tuesday, and that's Elizabeth Warren. She is my choice to
Yeah, I should have voted for Warren. I have regret. I should have. I have concern that something happened in 2016 that woke, like the racists were already all woken up by having Obama for president, and then there was such hate on Hillary that
mhm.
I am saddened that I think a woman can't win in this environment.
It's a strong possibility. I tend to
There were 3 MAGA hats at the board of elections today.
I, I I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised. Here's the thing. I don't want to get into I don't want to get into too much of that, but I will say this: the MAGA hat has taken over the Confederate flag, at least in the South, as far as what it
Yeah,
represents.
yeah.
You know, it's and before the Confederate flag, before that, it was the "Don't Tread on Me" flag. I know it has another name
Mm-hmm.
for it, but that was another. It was the Tea Party flag, and it was another one of those. Is like, oh, we're just trying to change out flags so it's not quite as, but we're not that, but most of
Mm-hmm.
us aren't that stupid, you know. So
Yeah,
we know what that flag also means.
yeah.
So yeah, and it's one of those situations where yeah, I see your point. I feel you, especially if she wins. You don't think that every MAGA hat wearing individual is not going to call her Pocahontas.
Yeah,
Yeah, and here's the other thing.
that flub will haunt her,
Yeah, and
unfortunately. And they can't let go of stuff. Man, for the news cycle being so fast and things just. For what Trump gets away with tweeting and removing, and all his followers can't let go of shit.
no. And here's the other thing. My I liked Sanders. Okay, but there are some gender politics issues that I have with Sanders that and I've made it clear in the past, and I've brought this up on Twitter, and the amount it's like I went into a Gamergate forum and said something nice about, a woman in the gaming industry. I didn't even say I was a Warren supporter. I just merely asked a couple of questions and whatever. I wasn't being accusatory or whatever, and I got dogpiled and called names that I haven't been called unless I'm dealing with Republicans or people in Gamergate. And I'm just going, holy crap. How- and I'm seeing this backlash of people who would have supported Sanders, who are getting the same kind of, hey, I got a couple of questions and stuff like that. And if you question it, it's become dogmatic in a lot of these guys. And it's guys, it's always guys, and that's a problem. I don't get attacked by female Sanders supporters. It's always guy supporters who are just blasting me, and it's not just me, but there are a lot of people that I've seen on Facebook and Twitter that are like, you know what, I'm done. I had a couple of simple questions about
Yeah,
this
you
per
can't question those
yeah.
people, and it's bad for discourse. I mean, that's my concern with Bernie as a candidate, though. Of course, his followers are like that because he's kind of a brat like that. He's uncompromising, and I question his ability to lead. Um, because he doesn't compromise. And I mean, that's how government works. You can't just force everything through. I mean, it's not a dictatorship. Um, as much
he
as I agree with his stated policies, his inability to swallow his pride. Um, I mean, I had my friend defending him with like, "Oh, he did back Hillary last time when he lost." Like, no, No, he really did not. He kind of
Yeah.
half-assed said once. Like, he did not muster his support. He did not move it over into campaigning for her, which other candidates have done in the past, um, like Obama's campaign did. Um, and I have, yeah, I don't. I didn't. His solution for like not paying women in his campaign equally, really, really,
Yeah.
and then he kind of just half-assed dealt with that too. I wasn't satisfied with his. He
Well,
didn't do enough to make up for it, and he's going around stumping and cutting corners on explaining his plans in a way to, it seems like a pie in the sky. I don't know, just not trusting him. I trust him less and less, unfortunately.
well, it's like Sunday he was on 60 Minutes, and this clip has gone around on Facebook and Twitter, of him back in the 80s, basically saying nice things about Fidel Castro, and then them defending that clip. And I'm going, don't just don't defend Feld. It's like, yeah, well, he did a literacy program, so it's not all bad. That's like saying that the USSR had everybody working, even though a lot of people were working in Siberia. It's just it's there was a zero.
It's that
There was a
trains running on time argument, right?
right. Yeah, it's like, yeah, it's like, well, at least the trains were running on time. That doesn't
Yeah,
fucking
yeah.
matter
Some were
all
going
the
to
time.
Auschwitz. Can we not?
I'm not. See, I'm not going to use. I try to avoid that so much because
Yeah,
he is a
yeah.
Jew. But it's like, that's why I use Russia. But it's like, they had a zero unemployment rate. It's like, well, yes, but they also were working in mines and they were freezing to death in Siberia. It's
Yeah.
not exactly still good things here we're talking about. So, I mentioned to, I was like, look, I just have a little problems with his gender politics, some of his gender politics and stuff like that, Oh, well, Warren just did a hit job on him. I'm like, it's a debate. What do you expect me to do? Just stand there and say nothing? It's like, oh my god! I just. Speaking of Warren, Warren really won me. I mean, I'd always been in her camp. I'd been following Warren since before she actually was elected as senator. I was following her back when she was floated as the person that was going to be ahead of the consumer advocacy. I can't remember the exact name of the thing, but it was basically to make sure that people didn't get dicked over by credit card companies.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been following her ever since. And so I know where she is. I know where she is as far as big business and as far as, capitalism and as far as that kind of concerned. And it's like, well, she makes a lot of money too. It's like, I'm not going to deny that people, she's still going to tax herself just as much as she taxes everybody else,
Mm-hmm.
and that's okay, as long as it's everybody and not just everybody but her, then I'm okay. But but last week when she went after Bloomberg and I'm just going, oh my god, that was amazing. It was the best thing I'd ever seen on TV. I mean, she won that debate. It's just unfortunate that so many of the Nevada caucus had already voted in the early election. And here's the thing: you want to talk about early elections? I think that was one of the big problems of 2016. Is that the head of the FBI came out. Well, the investigation is basically we found some possible new emails in September. By then, that's when the early voting had opened up, and it wasn't until late October they said, "Well, there was nothing on the that we found."
Yeah.
But by then, so many of that early voting had kicked in, and I'm not saying that you shouldn't early vote. That's not what I'm saying, but I'm saying these things have consequences. So while she wouldn't have had the momentum, and I think she knew that. when she went into that debate in Nevada, that she knew there was nothing that was going to change that Nevada caucus, because so much of, I don't know how you do early voting in a caucus, but it's better than what Iowa did. Oh, I am so angry at Iowa still. Have they even come in? Have they finally
I
told
don't
us
know
who
what
won?
happened.
I'm like, like, if you watched my Facebook and Twitter during that entire week, I was just angry for an entire week of going, it's been a week. How can you mess this up again? You've
Yeah.
had 4 years not to fuck this up again, and you did it again. How did you do this again? So Iowa should not be first. I don't think New Hampshire should be first either. Neither one of those states represent the nation.
Yeah, and the caucus thing is a mess anyway. So.
Right. Nevada did a caucus, and they were able to tell us that night who won. So it's obviously Iowa. It's just Iowa, because this, like, there's a history of having to wait so long because of Iowa makes, unlike however they do early caucusing, and which is basically, I guess, early voting in Nevada. Iowa makes you go, which automatically, it's a Tuesday night, which automatically makes people who have low income not be able to participate in these elections and these caucuses, because you have to get a ride there. You have to be able to stay there for God knows how long, and you have to, be able to. And if you're in the same town as your boss, that's a little creepy. That's a little hard. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, caucusing like that does not really work. And that was the problem when they were talking about caucusing originally in Nevada, is because a lot of them were held in casinos where a lot of these people work, and they were afraid that that was going to affect their jobs.
Mm-hmm.
So luckily, that seems to have, because Sanders just did really well with Hispanics and everything like that. And here's the thing: Sanders is my second choice because I am a lefty. I am a socialist Democrat. I believe in a strong social safety net. I want us to be Finland or Sweden or whatever. I think that could work in this nation. We just need to stop spending so much money on bombs. It's not that hard, but for that for that to be, I think we can pull that off. I think everybody can get health care. I think everybody could get free college. I think everybody can get excellent education.
So you're
And
sad that Yang dropped out?
yeah, Yang dropped out. I like the idea. There's a lot of stuff that still needs to be worked out with universal basic income, or how universal. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff but I like that idea as well. That
He'll
there
run
is
again in 4 years.
yeah, I'm sure he will, because I think that's an important thing. Here's another thing that Sanders got. Sanders got an endorsement by Williams. What is her first name? She was running early and dropped out early. She's the one from California, the one that's the anti-vaxxer. You know him?
Yeah, coconut.
Yeah, he got, and I'm like, look, we as a party can also not have crazy people. We have to denounce crazy on our side too. And here's the thing: if we're going to be the party of the party of science, and the party, anti-vaxxing is not science. It is not even pseudoscience. It's a bunch of lies. Okay. So if you've got a known anti-vaxxer backing, it's like, that's great and all, but let's not and say we did. That'd be great, kind
Yeah.
of thing. And I mean, it's like, except for Donald Trump, most people, if David Duke picked you, you'd be like, I don't want his nomination. I don't want his
Right.
support. And it's got to go both ways on that situation. We haven't talked about Amy Klobuchar because there's not. What is there to talk about her? I mean, what is, you
I
may
don't
know.
know. I saw one of our mutual friends saying that she was a kook the other day, but I don't know what that was based on. So,
She's basically middle of the road. I'm going to use this term, and I hate it, but she's milk toast. She's middle of the road.
yeah, I don't think she's inspiring. Like, that's another.
I mean, if we were going, I would flip if you know Harris had stayed in. I think she would have made him at least exciting. You know, but Amy Klobuchar is just eh. But let's talk about Michael Bloomberg for a second. He's Trump. He's Trump, but he's not as much of an asshole.
Why
I
do you
mean, that's
say he's Trump, though? That is so. His policy, his platform is completely opposite.
because I did some research. I did
Hmm.
a lot of his stuff. He is still very big money. He's still very racist. He's still very sexist. All you have to do is look at the stop and frisk. All you have to do is look at
Yeah, and
what
the stop
Elizabeth
and
Warren.
frisk is really confusing because that keeps getting.
Do you not?
I was looking at it and it was really confusing me because Giuliani was mayor when that
So
was enacted.
basically,
Why is
stop
it a
and
Bloomberg thing?
right, because he expanded it.
Okay.
And he expanded it and everything. And you also have to remember, until recently, he was a Republican.
Yeah.
He was okay. He has
People get
he
better. I mean,
not really.
are we
He's
going to
just
hold
run.
Anita Hill against Biden while we're at it? Just stay
Yes,
in the past?
yes.
Okay.
I still hold Anita Hill against Biden because he went and supposedly apologized to her, and he didn't accept her apology. So obviously he
She
didn't
didn't
really.
accept his apology.
I apologize. Yes, I am sorry that I messed that statement up. But yeah, from what I got, she did not go into detail, but basically she felt that it wasn't an apology.
So I was listening to the judge that did the ruling on the stop and frisk, where it was found unconstitutional in NPR today,
Right?
and she doesn't think he's a racist. That she thought he had good intentions, um, and he's admitted he's wrong and everything as well. Um, but yeah, I don't know. But
Okay,
the
so
judge,
let's.
the judge who made that ruling, that's
Mhm.
her opinion. I'm just saying.
Okay, so let's say he's not a racist. That's fine. He's still.
Has
I
non-disclosures with some women,
okay.
which I
I won't.
was very sad to find out about.
Okay, so let me do this, and I'm going to say this. I don't think FDR was a racist either, but that didn't make Japanese internment any less racist.
Hmm. Okay.
You can still have a racist policy, and there's also been statements that has come out where there's statements that have come out where he said that blacks and Latinos can't control themselves, that they're violent people by nature, and we have to be able to control them and stuff like that. There has been statements that have come out,
Hmm.
um, quotes that have been to from him in the past. Now, has he improved? Possibly. My thing is, he he did not qualify for the until they changed the rules. He did not qualify for these debates. One, two, he is now in these debates. Okay. Three, he's a billionaire, and I already don't. I we already have one supposed billionaire in the White House, and you see how he does that. Four, he changed the rules of the New York election process. Mayors were only supposed to run for 2 terms, and he basically had them change it to where he can run for a third term.
Hmm.
And he did win. He was absolutely horrible during the Occupy Wall Street and the financial crisis. He allowed rules to be changed
I was gonna
As
look up his donations and I forgot before the show too, because that was something where, regardless of his party change being fairly recent, he has been donating to Democratic candidates for a long time.
he
And
has
his
been.
down ticket support is encouraging to me. His paying campaign staff actual livable wage is kind of a big shift in politics. Like, he's got the money to throw around, but he's throwing it around the way it should be. Things like, oh, paying people. I was looking, and the lowest posted job was like stuff I've done. It was a oh shoot,
Canvas, not
no,
canvasser.
director of canvases and stuff, and like local regional director type
Hmm.
positions. They're paying $6,000 a month, and these jobs are purported to be paying through the end of the year, which
Hmm.
I thought was really interesting. And a friend of mine was like, "Well, what does that even mean? Like, why, if he loses the primary, why would he keep paying people?" And like, well, it sounds like he's planning to do what Obama did, and you turn, Obama for America. They turned it into organizing for America, and they help, boost other Democratic candidates, which is how people should work together and support each other to win elections.
That's what. Here's what. That's what he initially said. He initially said that he was going to do that. That no matter what, he was going to give several $1,000,000 to whoever was going to end up being the the the
Hmm.
um
Yeah, he wasn't
the
going to run, but then he
well,
jumped
no.
in.
Well, he said even after he said he was running, he said that if he lost, that he was still going to support whoever is going to be the nominee and give them money and all that kind of stuff. So I tend to believe what I he is more problematic than he is good. There is a lot of stuff in his background, especially with, like I said, how he's dealt with the poor, like how he set up, how he started charging homeless people to stay at homeless shelters in New York. He is how he's talked about, you know, farmers and how they basically aren't important. And there's a lot of stuff out there that is coming out about him that is just like, wow, ooh, and I just can't. I cannot. If he wins, if it's a legitimate and it's not a broker convention, because if it's a broker convention, I'm going to say this with all the love in my heart, it will destroy the party, and I don't think and Trump will win will win
Hmm.
because it will destroy the party.
You see,
It,
funded Beyond Carbon, Sierra Club, Beyond Coal.
he also has a C+ rating with Greenpeace.
That's weird.
He stepped into the presidential with a D-. He's went up to a C+, so that's an improvement. But so yeah, I keep up. Yeah, because he is the one that I really didn't want him to run. I really didn't. Um, I know that here's the thing. I think all candidates should be able to pay their staffers well. It's just unfortunate right now we're spread. We still have 6, 7,
I mean, these
and
people
so
work so hard and they're sleeping on couches. Like,
yeah. No, and I get that. Don't get me wrong. I understand that,
he's
and
putting his money where his mouth is. So, I don't know. I mean, money wins elections, and that's a sad, sorry thing that I learned in all the years that I worked and on losing campaigns over and over.
well, and that's one of the things that I every year on my taxes I give $3 to the presidential
Well, not anymore.
fund. No, it still allow me to do it.
I don't know where. It didn't even come up. They took that off like last year.
Uh,
Okay.
but I
But yeah, I always
until
have before.
yeah. So because I do believe in that, but like I said, yeah, I do. I also agree what you're saying is that
So did you not
money.
like the rule change either that let him in?
No, I didn't.
Why?
I think because it's a rule. Because why change the rules now? Because it. Well, here's the thing: if you're
You just fear
changing,
change? I mean, because it was based on you had to have a certain number of donors.
yeah, donors, not polls. Until that rule change, it was all about the polls, and then suddenly it became about donors. And here's the thing: it's Michael Bloomberg. It wouldn't be hard for him to set up a whole bunch of shell donors.
But he didn't take money from people.
He no, he didn't. He did. He doesn't have he doesn't have a lot of individual donors. All his donors are big donors.
Hmm. Well, he hadn't taken money from anyone. That's why he couldn't get in the debates.
Right, but that's what I'm saying is it would not be hard for a 68 billion,
And then you're bought. Just saying. There should be another way to qualify.
which is the polls, which is how
Yeah, I
all
don't
the
like that either, though, because that like silences perfectly legitimate candidates.
Yang got in with just the polls for multiple
It
times.
was still donations.
It was also the polls. He got in because he was doing well enough in the polls to be on that stage.
Mm,
I mean,
okay.
there I agree that there needs to be something else, but I just don't like the donor thing. I really don't. I don't like it where it's just where the donor thing is a big deal. I'm not a fan of just the donor thing.
Hmm.
Um that bothers me a great deal. Especially with someone with so much money. Like I said, it's not hard to set up shell donors. It's like, "Hey, I'm going to give you this money, give it back to me. Put it in my campaign."
Yeah, that's called soft money, and that's against the law. Just so you know, I've actually done SEC reporting, FEC reporting for candidates. That is against the law. I've had to
I
report people for that.
I understand it's against the law, but I also understand he's a billionaire, and when you get that rich, sometimes all you have to do is look at our president and see that they don't
But
think
he
that the
didn't,
law.
and you're mad at him anyway.
No, I'm not saying that. I don't know what he did. I'm just saying
Yeah.
that it's a possibility. I'm just saying it's not that hard to conceive that being done. And I'm also saying that it just seems very weird that instead of doing that at the beginning of the cycle, that they change the rule in the middle of it to where he can then get in. That's my issue.
Mm-hmm.
So if this had been done at the beginning, fine. But it just seems shady now. You see what I'm saying?
Sure.
Okay. There is the difference and everything else. Like, here's the thing: I'm a lefty, and I'm always going to have a problem with a billionaire trying to run because I have a fear of oligarchies.
Hmm.
That's me,
Mm-hmm.
and that's my stance on life in general. Is I don't feel comfortable with that situation. I don't feel comfortable with with billionaires, especially who have way more money than they really need to begin with, um, trying to run the country, because I honestly feel they don't know what it's like. I did some research on this as well. He has $65 billion. Okay, that's what he's roughly net worth.
Mm-hmm.
The average income for a family in the United States is $63,000. He has 1 billion more than the average family. How can he relate to someone in that level? That's where my brain goes. He can't.
None of these candidates are
No, none of them are poor.
right.
I agree totally with that situation. You know,
I think Joe is the closest to having been poor. I don't know much about Mayor Pete's early history, Um, I
Sanders
don't know how these
Sanders
people
was
made their money, but
Sanders until recently was not making a whole lot of money. I mean, he was above average, but he was like 100, 125. It was his salary plus his wife's salary. He was making about 250,000. And then he sold some books and he got some speaking engagements. At non-bank things because he learned from Hillary on that front. But he got some speaking things and stuff like that, and he's made some more money and everything else. So yeah,
well,
he
yeah,
had
like 2 million. He's a multimillionaire.
right, correct. I'm not saying that he didn't get money out
I
of
wonder
this
what
last.
Joe's worth, because Joe did the single dad stuff. His early career was really impressive to me.
Oh, don't get me wrong. I love Uncle Joe. I do. I've always loved Uncle Joe. And his story is tragic and amazing and powerful.
Yeah.
Also, and here's the thing about Joe as well: whether Trump got any stuff on him or not, that affected his candidacy. I think
Hmm.
just the fact that there was a ripple of a possibility of something did scare some people.
Hmm.
It did what it was supposed to do, even though he didn't
Hmm.
actually have anything. Joe's not. Joe's probably in the mid, maybe 50 million at most net worth. That's my guess. I'm not looking, but that would be my guess.
I don't know. I mean, he's got some audiobook rights. I'm trying to find here, but it doesn't seem to be actually still much. And apparently, his father was rich, but then he lost his fortune, and the whole family
Yeah,
was broke. So he did start out really, um, interesting. Yeah,
and
what did I
he's
say? Yep, 9 million.
9 million. Okay, which is not a lot in today's standards of being rich. And also, and it's one of the things that until he became vice president, when he was still senator and stuff, that he would still take the train back home to Delaware
Mm-hmm.
from DC. I for but also Delaware has a large contingency of banking interests there because their banking laws are much looser in Delaware.
Hmm.
So, Elizabeth Warren's worth a lot of money. I know she is. She taught at Harvard. They don't pay their professors.
Yeah, Jill and Joe's comes mostly from book royalties and speaking engagements, apparently.
Yeah.
Um, but I don't feel like he's lost touch either with the common man from his, commuting on the train to go
No,
do his
I don't
job
think
for all those years.
I don't think he
I
has. I don't
have concern if Bernie makes it that he's gonna once he's actually being vetted. I mean, the polls keep saying he can beat Trump, but man, I don't feel like the actual race would go well for him. So I have some concerns there. Now, if we get a Sanders Warren ticket, I think that's what we might end up with.
if that would be the only thing to shore up the honestly, that would shore up the left. That would also shore up the my
But
concerns
I
as
feel
far as
like Bernie won't swallow his pride to do it.
no
He'll pick some fucking nobody.
loopy
Some,
or
yeah.
some
Some
Yahoo.
anti-vaxxer.
Oh, if he picks her,
he'll
I'll be like,
bring
I'm not.
Palin back, right? Like,
I'll be like, yeah, because she was just as bad as Palin. She
uh,
was, oh my God, she was just, at least she was semi-intelligent, but she was still crazy. So yeah. All right. So you got about 10 minutes before the actual debate, so you can. So do you think? So here's the thing. Let's do something quick. Do you think that Bloomberg's going to try to swing back at Warren?
no.
Okay. Do you think Warren's still going to still going to attack him?
Yes.
Okay. Do you think Bernie is going to
Because you know
pile
what?
on?
I saw this great nerd meme about
Okay.
after the last debate, and I haven't watched any of the debates, by the way. Um, I just can't. Um, but Warren, it was like gamers are saying See, Warren knows no matter how dead that monster looks, you kill that fucker again.
See, yeah, I've seen it more as the Scream meme. You know, the first at the end of Scream, where the guy about to sit up and it's Warren's face putting another cap in, and like, yeah,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
yeah. But and here's the thing: if he has another disastrous debate like he did last time, I don't think he survives. I don't think he'll because Super Tuesday will kill him, and I don't think he'll stay in the race. I honestly don't. Joe will probably do well in South Carolina, and then Super Tuesday will kill him. Will eat him alive because he has a lot of support in South Carolina. But after that, I don't think he has. He that is kind of his. If
Yeah.
he doesn't win South Carolina, I think he's done. I think it's going to end up being. We're probably going to end up with Sanders, possibly Warren. It depends on how she does in South Carolina and how she does in Super Tuesday. If she comes in second or third in Super Tuesday, she's going to stick around for a while, and we may end up with Bloomberg still. I think Buttigieg has peaked, and
Yeah. Yeah, I
we're
think
not going
he's
to
on the
worry.
decline.
Yeah, because he really has nothing to say. He has nothing. He's kind of like Amy Klobuchar, Senator Klobuchar. She is kind of like vapous at this point. There's not a whole lot there. So look for that. Let's do our carrots and sticks, and what we'll do is we'll do everything else. So why don't you do the carrot?
Okay. Yeah, I put a very generic thing instead of citing a specific person, but what the hell? I could cite my son. First time voters. There are enough millennials out there, there are enough brand new voters that they can just decide this thing. So go, go, go. Your
Well,
time is now.
right. Well, a lot of the kids that were like at the Parkland and stuff like that,
Yes. And the work they've been
they're
doing.
yeah, they're the ones that are going to decide this election. So they
Yeah.
one of
Stop
their
this
big
madness, but you have to show up.
yeah.
That's the problem. That's why Andrew Yang dropped out. He realized that none of his supporters could actually vote yet. That was like my 16-year-old's take on it. He's like, yeah, my friend was really into Yang, and then he realized, oh wait, none of his supporters can vote.
So because he's very young and hip and he's into gaming and stuff like that and he's a bit geeky. Yeah. So I liked him too, but the stick is anyone who not voting because your favorite candidate has dropped out. Look, there are a lot of candidates I don't like here. There are a lot of candidates I like here. Okay. If Michael Bloomberg was to win the
Primary.
primary, I would not be excited, but I would still vote for him because he is not Trump. He's, I'm not going, if it's
And
Sanders
there's
or,
all the other elections. Like you elect
yeah,
people to
right.
back the, things you agree with, and to keep that person in the executive position in check.
And that's the thing you have to keep in mind is because our Senate has proven that we need to change it so that some rules can be changed. Because as it stands right now, our senators are not keeping our president in check. And we need to be able to, that is why there are three branches to keep these people in check, and that's not happening, and we need to get that to happen. So yeah, even if you're not happy with the upper candidates, there's a whole lower ballot that can help. You also have to look at you have to look at what's happening at the local level, make sure you stay engaged, Google, do some research, look, because those lower ballots are so extremely important, from the school board elections to your city council, everything else. All of that makes a difference because it all feeds into one another.
And just, I mean, no one's perfect.
Yeah.
And your vote counts and it matters. I heard another interesting take on NPR today about what happened in 2016, and there were all the Bernie bros that refused to vote for Hillary, but they went and they voted for, they thought she was going to win, so they voted for all these,
They're,
Republican, senators and stuff, and now Trump has no check because they thought they were going to be checking her.
yep.
Don't make those assumptions. Vote in conscience and vote with your own, your own best interest in mind and your own morality.
Mm-hmm. So, with that, thank you for joining us at Heresy and Hearsay. I'm Reverend Barney, and you can follow me on Twitter at SethRothII. You can find the show on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and podcast, and also visit our website. Just Google us. Don't forget, we have a Patreon page where $2 a month can help us keep going.
And I'm September. You can follow me on Twitch and Twitter at 9 of 12 and hear me on the Geek Girls podcast. Thank you for listening today, and bless your hearts. Okay, this is done. End stream.